So welcome back to the Tinkerage. Unboxing today. It's unboxing and first impressions. I'm not going to call it a review video. I don't like doing reviews until I've used something for many weeks, ideally months. So the bandsaw, for example, I had that for a good while before I did a review of it, or before I felt able to give a good review of it. But a bit of an unboxing and first impressions today. I've just purchased this week a 30-inch by 1-inch belt and disc sander. So it's a 5-inch disc sander. This is a Sealey. It's one of the cheaper models. It's not the cheapest. I bought it from Amazon, so it came quite quickly. I did look at the Axminster, which is virtually the same. And there are a number of others that are pretty much identical. Shepak do one that doesn't look, in fact, much different than this at all. There's a few little differences in kind of sort of some of the knobs. And there's some differences in the platens that are used, depending on which manufacturer. I suspect there's probably 1 or 2 factories in the world making 1-inch by 30-inch with 5-inch disc sanders. This one is small, and that's what I wanted. It's a little bit more powerful than the Axminster model. This one is rated at 250 watts. The Axminster is rated at 190 watts. I'm hoping that extra little bit of wattage, for just, I think it was about £2 or £3 difference in price, will give me a little bit more power if I want to do any metal work. I am contemplating doing a little bit of work with a bit of sort of make a few knives. So I've got a few things planned for that. I've got couple of old climbing backpacking knives here that I want to tidy up and do some fixing with. So when I unbox this today, I've literally, all I have done so far is open up the top. I've not even gone as far as opening it any further than that. So I'll do the standard kind of thing. Yeah, it's all on the box. Yeah, if you can't quite read it from the screen you're looking at, it's a 30-inch. That's 762 millimeter belt. So belts are, this pack of belts are at the same time. Nice little smile. So belts are about yay big. 1-inch wide, 25 millimeters. There's a 125 millimeter sander on the side. That's 5 inches. I don't know what 250 watts is in horsepower. It's not a huge quarter, maybe even less than that. So let's get it unboxed. As usual, these things are fairly well packed. I bought the Sealey one. It's a kind of, they claim to be a British manufacturer. Like most of these things, they are purchased from large companies in China. But this is a British-based company, and I don't know, it's nice to get to the point where we're not having to give plastic bags away. I know it's kind of protect it from when it's in transport. I'm not going to read through this in great length, but the assembly does look to be about a page and a half. First page and a quarter is just all the general safety bump. A little bit of a speed. What's the speed? Belt speed's 845 meters per minute. And disc speed 2,850 RPM. So the assembly looks, it's about 2 and a bit pages for assembly. I may have to kind of pause the recording to get that. Operation, fairly standard, it's about a quarter of a page there. And I do like it when you get diagrams showing where all the bits go, and even better when they actually give you a list of the various parts with part numbers. Some of those part numbers include things like the size of the washer. So we've got M5x19 repair washer, and some of the nuts and bolts also have their sizes, M6x16. So useful if you want to replace something. So I may have to pause this and come back to that in a moment, but let's get the stuff out of the box before we do that. Platens. Now, one of the things I noticed when I was looking at different models to choose from, is there did seem to be a variety of different sort of shapes. You could tell that they were pretty much the same sander. The arrangements were the same, power switches in the same position, so there's a little bit of variation for different models. Some of them have very square, some have rounder sections, so that's for the disc sander. Cast aluminium, some other bits and bobs in there. I won't strip that out for the moment. The little mitre gauge, which is absolutely tiny. I think there's loose bits in there. Oh, yep, a little Allen key. So tiny little mitre gauge, isn't that dinky? Do you like that? And do lots of Lego, so let's double check bags just in case there's anything small. The platen for the belt part, again, some square, some round. I don't think it's much of a muchness. I think it'd be fairly easy. At some point I probably will make some additional little plates, either from some metal or from some wood, if I want to sort of change. Work on something a little bit larger. Get the polystyrene out of the way. And it looks like it's a side exit one. I did, for the similar sort of money, for a few pounds more, I could have bought 4-inch 100mm belt sander with a 6-inch disc. Right, looks like a huge block of polystyrene, nothing else in there. So, put that out of the way. So I could have bought a 6-inch disc, 4-inch belt for probably less than £10 more. But I just don't have the space. I really do not have the space. There are possibly ways that I could get some more space in here. I've got a couple of boxes full of kind of sort of metal and bits. If I had more space down in the shed, so I'd probably get rid of those and then slide them in. But it's also, you know, I think they were averaging about 20 kilos. 15 was, I think, the lightest I saw. This one, that's what the official specs say. 7 kilos. So 14 pounds-ish. So it's easy enough to handle. And those that know me well know that I have quite a bad back injury. That means bending over particularly and picking heavy things up is a big problem. So I do have to be careful and thoughtful about the machines. Getting my scroll saw out, which is quite heavy, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I needed something that was light, I needed something that was small. I'm sure I would love to have a 4-inch sander, but I do have a 3-inch belt sander, which kind of portable belt sander, which I sort of clamp upside down when I need that kind of width. Lead seems reasonably long, which is good. I've got sockets kind of over here. I've got sockets over there. I don't have, actually no, I do have, because I did extend some sockets at the back here, but that's for kind of computer. I'll look over there. Just having a kind of look at it. I did look at another brand when I was at the tool show, which is very similar to this. I won't mention particularly which brand. And I wasn't that impressed, even quite quickly, with the quality of the build. I spent quite a bit of time looking at it. I even asked the guys if I could take it off the kind of sort of shelf it was on, had a good look. And it was bugging me, particularly as when I kind of sort of asked, that would have been the one that I would have been able to buy if I'd have bought it. And even with the trade price, it was essentially the same price as this. So wasn't happy with that. So it kind of almost put me off for a while of getting one, but I've been working on a commission lately where actually having a belt sander would have been really nice. So dust extraction on these is it's pretty much the same for all of them. We've got one filthy belt sander, and I suspect, yeah, I'm going to have to make some sort of adapter. This one, I need to make this adapter for this. This is my Triton. The other side of that. So I'm going to need an adapter on that. But that, yeah, that's something I knew I'd probably have to do anyway. For the disc, we have this piece here, which is going to mount on there. Then we need the instructions for this. 3 screws, Phillips head. So let's get these screws in. Let's get that on. This is a self-adhesive disc on here, so essentially it's a flat metal plate. That isn't something I'm overly fussed about, but I couldn't find an alternative. So unless anyone can tell me better, one of the things that I'm planning to do is to replace this disc, possibly not straight away, with a replacement 5-inch random orbital sander hook and loop pad, so that I can use hook and loop discs, so I can change the discs more quickly. I do need to check to see if kind of the clearance on the platen will be sufficient for that. I'm hoping it will be. If it's not, I'll have to come up with a plan B. Actually, that's Phillips. That's interesting. It's not Positron, it's Phillips. Actually, that'll do. So, fiddly. Get one in, that should make life a bit easier. First impressions for this, just looking at it, the build quality does appear to be better than others that I've looked at. That's interesting. There appears to be some sort of clip that I need to get into place. Yes, I need to actually slide that in first at that end. Now, maybe I should read the instructions, but yeah, so there's a little slide. So if we can see that here, see the little groove there. That's going to slide onto this down here. That just matches up with that, and that should put then holes in the right place. It looks like it does. I think if something is well designed, it should be fairly easy to assemble without looking at instructions. The belt and disc are already installed. So that should I'm not going to go change the belt now. I think this is supplied with 80 grit. No, it's a P100. So it's a 100 grit. There we go. So that just slots into place there. Surface quality, there is obviously some machine grease just from production, and yeah, a lot of companies will put it on for kind of transportation. Yeah, this is, I suspect, made in China. Let's just have a little look. Doesn't say on here. Overall build quality looks okay. There is a little bit of a a few scratches on here. This little scratch there. Won't take much to take that out. It's no big deal. It's not, certainly not a, the hole is. Certainly not a deal breaker. The screws on here. Those are the knobs. It's quite a hard plastic. My fingers are now a little bit greasy, obviously from unpacking this. So I'm not sure that's necessarily the best shape. I'm sure I can change those if I need to. Maybe get some lever arm ones. I find that that's a pain. I suspect most of the time that will be set at 90. There is a bit of a scale on the outside. There's a bit of a scale here, and it'd be interesting to see actually how far off that is. If I set that to 0, let's just loosen that one. And see if I can find square. Where's my square? Square stuck behind the camera. There we go. I'll use this plastic one. Yeah, that does appear to be off. This isn't brilliant, but yeah, I've set it to 0 on there, and there's probably about 1 millimeter difference at the far end of the platen. This isn't a precision piece of equipment. It's for shaping wood mostly and plastic, so I'm not too worried about that. Now that's an interesting sort of little tell as well. Like a lot of cheap mitre gauges on bandsaws and table saws, yeah, this you can hear the slop. So there has to be close to. So there is close to, yeah, it's less than 1 millimeter, more than half a millimeter, but about 0.6. Not too difficult to sort out, but again, it's not a precision machine. So I'm not going to be too worried about that. What I will probably do at some point is check the square of it when pushed against one side, because I'm going to be pushing into the disc, so not a problem there. Okay, so last thing to put on is the platen, the table for the sanding belt. So it has a little adjustment screw for getting the level right. I'm not going to do that on camera. Fairly straightforward. There's a hex head bolt in there, locking nut. So you just adjust it up and down till the level's right. So that's something I've got to do. Now here's an interesting little part. In the assembly instructions, it shows how you can dismantle this entire thing, which I'm not going to do. It does not mention anything about this washer, which came in the pack with this handle. But if you look on the disassembled, then we have the diagram here, which shows a little bit of the table there, and we do have the washer. So I'm going to put that on there like that. So this looks like it has to go in with belts thin. And then we have captured nut inside this little hole. Just to make it easier, so you can still see it, and tilt that back. Now this is tricky because there's a limited range of motion. The handle here is one of these ones where it can be you push in or you pull back on the handle, and it allows for limited motion. So essentially like a ratchet. In order to get that thread into place, what I'm doing is I'm just putting back on the handle and then just turning the body with my other hand until it's captured enough. Could take a while. It is going to need some adjustment, I can see that already. The table is going to actually hit the belt if I put that flat. So I can see, and you might be able to see, it's all flat there, and there's about 1 millimeter of space in there. And I've still got close to a centimeter of space on that adjustment screw. So even if I loosen that off and put it all the way up, that's hitting the belt and not hitting here. Now I notice that this back plate, which I think is more technically called the platen for the belt, has some adjustment screws, but it looks like it's already as far back as it can go. So I'll need to just have a little look at that, because if that's as far back as it can go, then this might be going back. Because if I can't get that to 90 degrees, that's not much use. Now, the condition of this table is, it's got a couple of little scratches in it, but not a little nick like on that one. So I'm okay with that. Allen key, I'm just going to adjust this now while you're here. So it's clearly not set up for operation. Not going to loosen that one. Right, this platen at the back here is plastic. Okay, that's better now. There was a little bit of movement there. That's now looking not quite flat. I think I will still need to adjust it. It's not quite 90, but far closer, and it has bottomed out on the other one. So I'll just tighten this up. So at some point I might replace that with some aluminium. Shouldn't be too difficult. There may be some adjustment needed. I can see there is a bit of a gap there. This is going to need some fettling, some tweaking. It might be that obviously the sort of belt tensions will change that. I suspect if I run that, yeah, see that's scraping against. Oh, other way. Yeah, so some work is going to be needed on this. So I've got this little bit of plywood, my hole saw. I'm going to just see how that works, just taking that off. I'm not going to run vacuum because I don't have the right adapters. What I will do is just put my respirator on. Because I really don't want a lung full of dust, even if it is fairly safe dust. But I mean, any dust is bad for you if you get into your lungs. But it's not like it's toxic. This stuff, you is toxic. Let's have a look. We're in. I like that. It's quiet. Certainly quieter than my belt sander. Take that little strip from the hole saw off nicely. That's P100. This feels like about an 80. So I would expect them to clear quite quickly. So yes, first impressions. I like it. I like it a lot. It's a tool that I should have bought months ago. Should have bought it years ago, to be honest, but certainly I should have bought it months ago. It's going to need a little bit of fettling and tweaking to get it running accurately. I'll probably swap, unless somebody can tell me a really good reason not to. I'm going to swap the self-adhesive disc here for a 5-inch 125mm hook and loop system, so I can swap discs over depending on what I want to do. Because once you take this off, that disc has had it, so I probably won't do that until that one's had it. The belt, there's going to need to be some adjustment here. Obviously I need to read the manual, just check adjustment knobs and see if there's anything in there. At the moment, that will not go to 90 degrees. Maybe I need to actually sand, use it to sand the table so there's a notch. I think after a bit of fettling and a few months of use, and this is going to get a lot of use. So I've really got a few projects planned for it in the next week, getting ready for a craft fair. So it's going to get a fair bit of use. So maybe in about 3-6 months, I will put together another video, just giving my kind of a proper review, one based on use, not just on first impressions. But just to summarise the first impressions, for a relatively cheap, I think £88 on Amazon. So I don't know what that is in kind of, well, I don't think you can get Sealey as a model, but you can get similar ones for about $100 in the States. I'm excited to use this. This should be good. So this will be, I'm sure, propping up in a few projects. Just a reminder, if you haven't already watched it, go back and look at my most recent vlog, where I celebrate going through 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I also had an announcement for a giveaway. I haven't started on that giveaway yet. That is going to be actually a little video series in itself for the UK and Europe entries. So if you've not yet entered, go back, watch that video, make your entry. If you're outside of Europe, essentially it's going to be a little Celtic knot, which is already made. If you're inside Europe, it's going to be a spoon made from some yew. The piece of yew is actually sitting on my desk at the moment. I like sometimes to take a piece of wood and literally just have it in sight often, so that I can look at it and get inspired by it. This will get some use in the making of that. So go and check that out, make an entry, and yeah, keep a lookout for this in use. So far, I'll need to make some adapters. So 3D printer, I'll get a 3D printer. Currently, I took the 3D printer out of here, so you may have noticed the 3D printer was sitting about here. That's currently on the way to going underneath my desk, and that's going to happen soon, so I can get back on the 3D printing journey. And so one of those tasks will be to make some adapters rather than buying them for my hose. So what I'll probably do is make some sort of U adapter, so that can sit on there like that and swap to different sides. So yeah, so far so good. Thank you for watching. Please do click like and subscribe if you've not already, and hit that notifications button so you get reminded every time I do post a new video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.